The VENI project. I'm just going to spend about 10 minutes talking about this, and then I'm going to pass over to Claudia. We're coming to the end of this project, actually. In December, it must end. European funding will completely end on the 31st of December. So I suppose one question I've got is, what do we do after the 31st of December? Do we pack up the project? After all projects have a shelf life. Ours has been running for 2.5 years. We've achieved certain things I'm going to talk about. So a key question I've got is, do we finish on the 31st of December? Or do we carry on with something new? And if it's something new, then what's that going to be? And we've got this term that we've launched in various brochures, Skills Academy. Visit East of England Skills Academy. Started by VENI, but can't be finished by VENI because VENI finishes on 31st of December. So if we're going to launch this Visitor Academy, what's it going to look like? How do we get liftoff? And I suppose the sort of questions I'm asking are, who owns this plane that takes off? Is it Visit East of England? I would suggest that is the right owner of the Skills Academy. And then who's going to pilot the plane? Well, we do have a VENI partnership, and there's no reason, perhaps, why the partnership couldn't continue to develop it. But then who are the passengers on this plane? And I'll be talking over the next few minutes a lot about this triangle, because without this triangle, it just doesn't work. The idea of a Skills Academy, all the work we've done under VENI, all fits into this triangle. It's about educators linking up with businesses, linking up with students, particularly students in the further education sector, where they're getting work ready and they're, after a year or 2 years, ready to move into employment in the sector. So that triangle is really important. And then what's its destination? Well, I'm suggesting a career in the visitor economy. And what are the stop-off points? Jasmine's going to be talking about this a little bit later on. An apprenticeship is a stop-off point. It's a route to a career in the visitor economy. Okay, so I'm going to try and cover in the next 5 minutes, because I think I've used up 5 of my 10 minutes already. I'm going to try and cover these points. And I'm going to rush through them because I'm hoping that most of you will know some of the background of VENI anyway. On the 10th of November, we've got a regional skills group. I'm the chair of the Visitor Economy Skills Group in East Anglia, and we'll be talking about this in more detail then. So if you want more information, 10th of November, do ask me if you haven't been invited. I can certainly invite you. And also look at our website, veni.org.uk. So these are the things we're going to be talking about. These last 3 really important, especially Claudia talking about Banham Zoo and Jasmine talking about an apprenticeship. So VENI is a partnership project. That's the most important thing. And at the moment, it involves 3 colleges, Suffolk New College, East Coast College, and West Suffolk College. We're working very closely with the Suffolk Growth Partnership and with Visit Great Yarmouth, Visit North Norfolk, and North Norfolk District Council, and it's led by Visit East of England. That is the brand at the front of VENI. And in 2022, we launched a skills manifesto. We had a lovely meeting at West Suffolk College where we had public sector, private sector, some students as well as educators. And we came up with these 12 points. Again, I'm not going to go through them now because I don't have the time. But we've been working to this over the last year and making big inroads in each of these areas. And we've been running events, working with local flavours, and Valerie, who's going to be picking up forms from you, those of you who are SMEs, has been instrumental in placing VENI in 85 different events across Norfolk and Suffolk over the last 2 years. It's been a fantastic enterprise that she's been involved in, and has really increased the profile, I suppose, of the visitor economy and of VENI in particular. And then apprenticeships, short courses and masterclasses. We've looked at the idea, how do we get more apprentices into the visitor economy? It's quite a challenge, actually. And if you talk to any of the colleges, they will say there's not really the demand. What we've done is and I want to hold up this brochure, this skillful brochure, a play on the words skills and skillful. We've taken the idea of a basic business apprenticeship and said, well, we can actually build that around that, have the business apprenticeship as the framework, the basic framework, and then we can have master classes from the sector, from employers in the sector. We can have a skills passport. So we can do some dedicated things around the hospitality and tourism sector, at the same time have a very basic business apprenticeship. And that seems to be something that's working. Jazz will talk about it a little bit later on as well. So apprenticeships. We've also, during the VENI project, run over 100 courses with 1,000 participants. And we've run these masterclasses in various different locations across the 2 counties. And we've produced these publications. You've got one of them on your chairs. There's also the one about the careers in the visitor economy, and also about courses that you can do. I wanted to highlight this because it's just as important to make sure that we're priming those who are not yet in further education, who are younger students at school. And this Choose Hospitality project that we've piloted with West Suffolk Council has been tremendously successful in getting younger people interested in a career in the sector. And then finally, we've been working with partners, doing all sorts of things in the VENI project. I want to highlight Suffolk Growth Partnership, their accessibility project, really, really successful, and also their new sustainability work. But you can see lots more about this on the VENI website. So, what happens after 31st of December 2023? What might a Skills Academy look like? And I'm suggesting that we've got to involve the educators, the businesses and the students. So on the student side, we're looking at some scaffolding that leads us to an apprenticeship. And we're doing this at the moment at West Suffolk College, offering intense apprenticeship support to students on a range of different courses, not just tourism and hospitality, but on business, animal studies, all sorts of other courses. We're offering short courses leading to qualifications, masterclasses, work experience in the sector, and then the opportunity to do an apprenticeship. But of course, it also involves employers. Employers have got to be part of this equation, otherwise it all falls down. There's no point in us having huge demand from the students. Yes, I want to be an apprentice and join the sector, if we haven't got employers on board. So, through the VENI project and through the Skills Academy going forward, we want to be able to offer businesses the opportunity to network together, to develop masterclasses, to, if you like, try before you buy, offer work experience to young students, and then hopefully offer apprenticeships. And then finally, we've got to get educators, teachers involved as well. Otherwise it all falls down because they're not promoting the idea among their students. And so for teachers, we're talking about enrichment, a wider curriculum, getting involved in masterclasses and industry visits, networking. We've got a range of networks that they can get involved in, progression for their students, and then additional qualifications for their students as well. So it's really important for us to make sure that we are promoting this to educators just as much as the businesses and the students, those three parts of the triangle. Right, that's me done. I'm going to pass over to Claudia, who's Chief Executive of the Zoological Society of East Anglia. And I know Claudia's a big fan of VENI and a great supporter. And so really look forward to hearing from you.
No pressure.
Okay. And I know I've got to move my microphone.
Just tell me how we work
and
this.
you move that on the right to go forward and the left to go back.
Perfect, lovely. Yes, hello, welcome everybody. It's lovely to see everybody here today, and thank you for coming into this workshop and supporting something which is actually very important to my heart, as well as very important for the whole region actually. So thank you all for coming. I am a Chief Executive of the Zoological Society of East Anglia, which operates Banham Zoo and Africa Alive, Banham Zoo in Norfolk and Africa Alive over in Lowestoft. Our charitable objective is to support conservation, education and community. And so the VENI project for me falls into all three of those categories. One, we have to educate the people going forward in conservation, and conservation, it means we live a harmonious future with animals and people and sustainability. But also it's really important to educate the future children of tomorrow who'll be our future VENIs, and as well as that, it's a really important community project as well, because actually having young, well, sort of not that young anymore, I suppose, late teenage children, it's incredibly difficult, that jump, that leap from you finish school, you think that you can just go out there into the world and you can just go and get a job, and then they say you need 2 years experience, and you're like, but how am I supposed to get from 2 years experience from where I am today? Or they say, yeah, you can start on Monday, but there's no bus route. There's no way of getting there. The transports aren't there. And I think, therefore, I felt very passionate to think, well, how could we fit in with what we're doing? And as part of this sort of wider project, as part of a wider project that we're doing, we're building something which I won't go into huge detail now because we don't have the sort of enough time, but outside you'll see it. It's basically using 11 acres of our Banham Zoo site to create a native haven trail. So in other words, a bit like inspired by the British Wild Isles of David Attenborough, this is a place where children can go and not only see the focus centre of international oasis and lovely animals and tigers and all the wonders of the world, and see our very important conservation animal breeding programmes, but now they'll be able to go on a sort of 11-acre route around the outside of the park. And in doing so, they'll be able to visit different regions, the east of England, and see endangered animals there in breeding programmes, or they'll be able to go over to the wetlands, or they'll be able to go into a rainforest celebrating our sort of temperate rainforest of Wales, or go over to the forest of the north and see what it looks like in Scotland and breeding wild cats. Or they can go into this centre educational hub, which we want to call Subterranea. We're very excited. Our project's just been shortlisted for the Great British Wildlife Restoration Award. That's a mouthful, if it's taken. And we hope to be a winner of it. You don't get a huge cash amount being a winner, but what we're doing is it gives us a chance, because it's voted for by the House of Lords and the MPs, it gives us a chance to highlight the important work that zoos are doing in both conservation education, but also in the sort of community, with this particular project being one of them. So this rather kind of futuristic building, which has taken, this is a sort of early concept drawing, is basically our kind of central hub, as it were, which we wanted to look almost like a mushroom. We were calling it Subterranea. It's under the ground. It's basically saying a foundation. We wanted a place where, when I grew up, I grew up in London, and I used to go to the Science Museum, and everything in the Science Museum used to look so cool, and so like you saw these people like in white spacesuits hanging from the ceiling because people had just gone to space, and they were teaching you that kind of, and it was exciting, and then you could play with water underground if it was a wet, rainy day. But actually what we've got now is we've got a generation of kids and children who are coming out of education and school, my ones being in it, and they're of a different era. They're of a technology it's moving faster than you can imagine. I mean, one minute you think that you can write your school project on AI, and then by the end of it, you can make a movie of it in 2 minutes. It's moving at such pace that actually it's really important that we give our children of tomorrow and today, we give them a space where actually we can sort of, I mean, I call it an educational bridge, somewhere where they can go, where actually they can have a destination for life sciences, for international native species. They can have practical, flexible training spaces where after they've learnt everything in the college, they can now apply it, but in a safe way. Because actually one of the things that we find a lot is we employ about 61% of people who are under the age of 25. Well, as an employer, it's quite a big amount of people, because they require a different type of nurturing. Because they can't just arrive and know to fill in 62 forms, read 132 policies, take it all in, apply it all. We're dealing with dangerous wild animals. We've got 500,000 visitors. We need people to take on all of this information. But actually it's incredibly difficult for them to sometimes embark on all of this. Sometimes they're living with their parents and they've got to the point where they're just like, oh, sod it, I just really hate you and I want to move out. So they've got issues going on at home as well. Not everyone, Jasmine. I'm sure you love your parents if you live with them still. But I'm just saying there are lots of issues going on in their lives, mental health, money, where do they go? Maybe they've met somebody in a different place. They feel frustrated. Sometimes they're still being dropped off because that school bus, which ran so efficiently to get them to school every day, has now ended. So they either have to walk or their parents have to somehow make that navigation to get them to work. Sometimes it makes them late. And actually they've got a lot going on. So what we wanted to do was work really closely with the colleges within the region and say, how could we be part of this solution rather than part of the problem? What can we do? Because we've got this amazing landscape where we've got 60 acres. We've got a job in everything you can imagine. I mean, you can literally, apart from being a rocket scientist, you can be most things at the zoo. We've got carpenters, we've got builders, we've got maintenance people, we've got catering, retail, finance, marketing, buying, merchandising, designers, animal keepers. It just goes on. There's such an array of careers. But we also have this terrible problem, which is how do we recruit people? Because actually, either we recruit people who maybe don't have that exact skill set, or we recruit people who need a lot of training, and therefore we need to work with partners and create something. So this is for us why we, when I was first approached by both Andrew and yourself, Valerie, to say, would you like to be part of this pilot scheme? I was like, hell yeah. Let's do it. Let's give it a go. And it's been amazing. And any businesses in this room, I would really recommend it. Go for it. Try it out, because it is a really important thing. And it can't end on the 31st of December. That's just a date as far as I'm concerned, Andrew. It can't, because it's really important for our region that we actually keep this. Not just because of businesses or because of you creating a wonderful program, because of what Jasmine will say, because what it does to the end result, what it creates for them, which I think is incredibly important. And then that impact back into the visitor economy. So I think that is a very valid point. So just briefly, just so you can see it, this is the sort of top of our kind of, it sort of looks like a shell, but actually it's taken many variations, but this is the sort of top part of it. And this part of it is, we wanted to become, there's a lot of need for catering and hospitality jobs, but it's very difficult to take the people who are applying for the catering jobs, who are seasonal jobs, because we have got a seasonal economy, 6 months a year, you need a huge influx of people. But you don't find permanent people who need to pay rents and mortgages and all of that. You don't find them able just to say, oh yeah, I'll just work this 6 weeks, but I won't work the rest. The people who fill these spots, they're the young people. They're the people who are often in between colleges or universities or school. So what we wanted to do was almost create a zone whereby they can have it as their training zone. So in the off-peak, they're working with the colleges and they're using the space to actually train and learn the skills and learn those soft skills. I mean, poor Jasmine, before she walked in here, she said, I've just had to deal with somebody outside who was really upset because she didn't have a badge and she didn't have this, because that's what they have to deal with. It's not just the day job or the thought that you've got to now stand up and present to all these people. You've also got to deal with the fact that somebody has just had a bad day and they take it out on you, and it's customer service skills and all those types of things. So we think that this is a zone where we can create this beautiful environment where we can invite corporates and bring people and look over the entire world of animals that we have up high. But at the same time, it's all run by hospitality students, which can do their training and also come here as a sort of educational bridge. Then on our next floor down, which we call the ground floor here, this is what you were talking about earlier, Andrew. This is this space where people need places to meet, places which are cool, places which say, I work at Subterranea. That's where I go. Where it feels like it's techie and it's got little workshop spaces, because sometimes you need breakout spaces, sometimes you need rooms this size to do stuff, other times you need to pull everyone together, so you need a big conference centre. This is this floor here. But what we want to do is we want to make it quite modular. So actually we can close it off and make it sustainable and have almost like that science museum-y type thing going on, so that the little kids, when they come at the weekend and they see this building, they think, almost I can access some areas, but during the week or other areas, I want to get in there when I'm older. I want to be part of this. I mean, my son said to me, why are you so passionate about this? I said, it sounds really silly, but when I first was, the sort of dot-com industry came in, a friend of mine got a job at Amazon. This was ages ago when Amazon was like this, they're going to be evil, they're going to take over the world. Now we just use them for everything that we need instantaneously. But do you know, the most exciting part of it was going in and having my Amazon. They asked me if I wanted a piece of toast, and they stamped my toast with Amazon. And I know it sounds really silly, but I was quite young at the time and I was uber impressed, because we didn't have stamps on our toast. Certainly we didn't at home. It was just straight out the toaster. It's that whole feeling of being part of something, part of a culture which is new and innovative and you identify with, which is what we want to try and create in a space like this. And then on the ground sort of basement floor, what we want to do is we want to create something which is actually going to have a knock-on effect for the rest of the visitor economy, which basically will mean to say within our region, which basically is let's create this really cool underground space where actually it's immersive. We can change that sort of art installation, but where we teach people about the mycelium of trees, we teach people about fungi. I can assure you, if you try to teach even my godchildren who are quite small about fungi and you show them a mushroom this size, they ain't going to be that interested anymore, because their whole life is this big, it's all AI, it's all immersive. And so therefore what we want to do is have somewhere which was underground, somewhere which says, wow, this is really cool. They might be taken upstairs if they're allowed to. This will be a free entry point when you're coming into the zoo. And so therefore it's kind of a soft skills thing to say, this is a space where everyone can come in. It's an indoor space. It'll help us also become more of an indoor attraction throughout the year. And then, as I say, leading up to this sort of space more for the sort of probably school-age children, 12 up into colleges and university children, moving into, on your triangle, this sort of space at the top where people are actually doing their apprenticeship. They've proven themselves and they have the worth. And so that's really what we're trying to do. At the moment, as I say, this is phase one of our bigger project. This phase is £20 million worth of investment. Levelling Up funding is coming out in 2 weeks. We're keeping our fingers crossed. We're pushing hard for Breckland and other councils to say, back us. This is really important. This isn't just we want to do something fun. We want to do something fun, but we also want to do something which is going to be meaningful and important for the region. And we really, we've done our business plans. We believe that this type of activity with a whole plan altogether can bring 200,000 plus visitors to the region, which has a huge knock-on effect just financially, as well as newly landscaping areas, building back into conservation and sort of teaching people for the future. And I think I must be quiet now because I'm being mindful of the time. But actually my dream and hope is that we have an entire visitor economy of Jasmines, because when somebody said to me that Jasmine was an apprentice, I went, oh my God, she's amazing. And I mean that. You are amazing, Jasmine. And so it gives me real pleasure to invite you here so you can tell everybody why we have to do this.
Thank you very much. Right, so a couple of familiar faces, but for people that don't know who I am, I'm Jazz Godfrey and I'm currently completing the Level 4 Business Improvement Practitioner Apprenticeship with VENI and Visit East of England. And I've actually come through the pilot Skills Academy, and the opportunities that I've been able to have with the Skills Academy is endless. I could shout about it all day. I'm really passionate about it, and it would be a real shame to get rid of that for other students, because I would really like other students to experience the things that I have experienced, and it's definitely pushed me to be more motivated about the future that I'm going to have, and definitely wanting a career with inside the visitor economy. So I've just created a short video that just highlights, very skimmily highlights the experiences that I've had and all the opportunities that I've had while being part of the visitor economy. If it plays.
Just a second click.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, that briefly just covers the experiences that I've had, and over the next sort of 18 months, I'm looking for different businesses to go into and have these educational industry placement days, to go and experience the careers from all different levels, and to create more videos like this, become an asset for students and young people to get motivated about being in a career within inside the visitor economy. From my point of view, how I see why there is a need for a skills academy is closing the gap. I've always seen the gap between further education and the workplace quite a big gap. And when VENI came along, it sort of filled that gap but made it bigger. So if we take that skills academy away and that VENI project away, that gap is then left a lot bigger than it was before. And I've found it so incredible just to have the satisfaction from people say, oh my God, you're doing so well, it's so nice to see what you're doing. And I would like for other students to be able to have that praise, because I don't think that there's a lot of praise for young people that are in the hospitality industry especially, that they are doing this, they're working long hours, and doing that alongside education is really tough. I have been there myself, and it's nice to finally get the praise and satisfaction to feel part of a team and feel like you're a valuable asset to a company. And that is something that doesn't really come on until later on into career journey, but we need to change that, because they can be a valuable asset to your team. Another point to mention is boosting the visitor economy itself. I think everybody knows that COVID was a really struggling time for a lot of people, but now we're sort of coming out of that and the flourishing time. Why not bring in the new generation of managers and the new generation of directors when they do finally get there, and start off right at the baseline with young people, and get them motivated about being inside the visitor economy, because it's limitless. You can be anything you want inside the visitor economy, and we're making people aware of the amount of opportunity there is, because I don't think people are quite aware of how much opportunity there is inside the visitor economy. So if we start off from the bottom, you then have these tailor trained young people ready to become your new general managers of your restaurants and places like that. Another point to mention is the developing of soft skills. You cannot be taught this in a classroom-based environment. You can be taught the information about the soft skills, but you will never be able to apply them unless you are given the opportunity to display them. And the masterclasses that I had, ranging from the different businesses that were mentioned earlier, allowed me to demonstrate the soft skills that I have, and allowing me to realise where my improvements are, because it's great to see that, yes, I might have these success points, but it's also about improving and growing as well, and each student is going to be different. So developing these soft skills you can take to any part of the visitor economy. You can be part of any sector and know that you are going to be a valuable asset with these the development of soft skills. So how the Skills Academy could make a positive impact on a journey for someone. So the networking and events opportunities that I've had over the last year and a half, I would never be able to tell my younger self now that you are going to experience this. My younger self would have been absolutely blown away. And it really is who you know when you're going up in the ladder. It is who you know in life to get through, to get the opportunities, to be able to speak to someone else. And VENI has given me that access into the real world, if you like, and being able to speak to people in industry and know what it's really like. Because it might be all good and saying from an advert, oh my God, it looks really like fun and exciting to work here. But there are challenges as well, and knowing how to overcome those challenges is what young people need to learn about, is how to become that valuable team member. Developing of my transferable skills as well, and a part of the level 4 apprenticeship, it is building those skills all throughout the 18 months, one of them being project management. And I think you can say in every one of your businesses that you've been able to come across a project at some point and having to apply a certain strategy to be able to become successful. And with the different apprenticeship levels, it means that it's very accessible to get into the visitor economy from level 2 to level 4. So it doesn't matter if you feel like you've been disadvantaged because you didn't get the grades that you quite wanted to. It's very accessible to get into, and you can still be what you want to be. You don't have to go to uni, and I think that's a really big conception is changing now. I mean, I've got a twin sister and she's decided to go to uni, so it'll be very interesting to see at the end of the journey, when I've sort of done an advanced apprenticeship, to see where we both are. Having the experience that I've had on my CV compared to someone that might go to uni and have experience at Sainsbury's, for example. You're in the industry, like Claudia was saying earlier, you don't have to have that 2 years experience. You've already had that work experience, which is really valuable. Even if it is volunteering, you've still had experience in the industry, which is just giving that chance to young people. Because if not, we find it really difficult to sort of keep nagging you, oh, can you please give me some work experience? Can you please give me? But this is a perfect opportunity to get into the visitor economy very easily, and obviously the opportunities and experiences that I've had. The video really skimmingly highlighted the opportunities that I've had, and going over the next sort of 18 months I mentioned earlier is going into industries and experiencing the roles from different levels, right from a team member all the way up to a director, a CEO, and everything in between, to make these valuable asset videos for people to see what it really is like inside the visitor economy, and have a more laid-back feel, because sometimes when you sort of show things in assemblies for schools, they're too corporate and you lose the engagement of students straight away. So I'm taking a new approach on it and making it more lively from a young person's point of view. And I'm really passionate about the visitor economy, especially being part of the VENI Skills Academy. I'm so fortunate to be able to say that I love my job so much at my age. I'm really, really fortunate to have that opportunity. So sort of looking forward, I'm really passionate about solidifying the relationship between the 3 points of the triangle and bringing those points closer together, because if not, we won't get anywhere. Like I said, if VENI and the Skills Academy comes away from the visitor economy, that gap is going to be so much difficult to fill, and you won't get any closer to the future generations, and it'll be ever so hard to get the recruitment and the awkward conversations. But where you've got someone sitting in front of you that is eager and motivated to get on, those people are going to be really shining in the visitor economy, and we need to pick those people out ready to go into industry. So that is all I've got to say so far.